Before you brush this message off as just another talk about love, take a moment and ask yourself this question. What if your life is already shifting in ways you haven't fully noticed? What if the unease you've been carrying, the sudden emotions, the odd coincidences, and the growing pull to leave your old life behind aren't random at all? What if they're actually signs that you're standing on the threshold of one of the most meaningful encounters of your life? Most people spend years searching for love out in the world, while completely missing the transformation unfolding inside themselves. They assume the biggest sign will be another person walking through the door, but the truth is far more unexpected. Long before the right person shows up, you begin to shift. Your thoughts start to change. Your heart grows quieter. Your fears begin to loosen their hold. Even the way you see the world begins to change. Very few people notice these moments while they're happening. They mistake them for ordinary life, never realizing they're stepping into an entirely new chapter. So before you decide this message isn't for you, stay with me until the end. Because if even one of these signs has already shown up in your life, you may be far closer to a life-changing connection than you ever imagined. The next few minutes could completely reshape the way you understand love, timing, and your own path. There is a moment in everyone's life when the noise inside starts to lose its grip. It doesn't happen all at once, nor does it arrive with dramatic fanfare. It shows up quietly, almost unnoticed, like the first glow before sunrise. For a long time, your mind may have been consumed with questions about love, wondering when someone would come along, why certain relationships fell apart, or whether you were somehow meant to stay alone. These questions spark a constant inner conversation that never really rests. But as you draw closer to a relationship that truly belongs in your life, something remarkable starts to shift. The endless mental tug-of-war begins to ease, and a calm settles into places that once felt unsettled. This calm isn't a result of giving up on love. It's a result of no longer letting fear run your heart. You start to realize that chasing, forcing, or desperately pursuing another person has never brought lasting peace. Instead, it usually created anxiety, uncertainty, and emotional fatigue. As this realization deepens, your focus naturally moves away from trying to control what hasn't happened yet. Rather than constantly watching for signs, replaying conversations, or imagining countless scenarios, you become more grounded in your own life. An unexpected sense of confidence starts to build inside you. It isn't loud or boastful, it's quiet and steady. You no longer feel that every delay is a rejection, or that every silence means failure. Instead, you understand that life moves according to rhythms far bigger than your own personal schedule. This understanding lifts an enormous emotional weight. You stop measuring your worth by whether someone picks you because your value no longer hinges on another person's approval. As this inner peace builds, your relationship with yourself also begins to change. Moments alone become less intimidating and more meaningful. You discover that being alone is not the same as being lonely. In solitude, you start hearing your own thoughts more clearly. You notice what genuinely brings you joy, what stirs your spirit, and what kind of life truly reflects your deepest values. Instead of filling empty moments with distractions or temporary connections, you begin filling them with purpose, creativity, learning, and self-respect. This emotional stillness also changes how you handle hard situations. Events that once sparked panic now invite patience. Conflicts no longer take over your entire day. You bounce back from disappointment faster, because your emotional core is no longer built on shaky expectations. There's a growing sense that whatever truly belongs in your life doesn't need endless struggle to stay there. This belief lets your nervous system relax in ways you may never have felt before. People around you may notice this change before you do. They sense that your energy has become lighter. Your conversations feel more genuine because you probe from desperation or hidden fear. You listen more closely, smile more naturally, and carry yourself with quiet confidence instead of silent insecurity. Others often feel unexpectedly at ease around you because inner peace has a way of creating safety for everyone nearby. The deepest change, though, happens beneath the surface, where no one else can see it. Your heart slowly stops treating love as something that must be earned through sacrifice, constant effort, or endless proving. Instead, it starts recognizing that real connection grows best in an atmosphere of peace, rather than pressure. When your inner world grows quiet, you become able to recognize someone, not through desperation, fantasy, or emotional need, but through clarity, emotional maturity, and a genuine sense of belonging. Long before a truly meaningful relationship enters your life, something unexpected often starts happening beneath the surface of your awareness. Emotions you thought were buried suddenly resurface. Memories you haven't thought about in years quietly rise into your mind. Old disappointments, broken trust, painful goodbyes, and moments that once shaped your view of love start asking for your attention again. At first, this can feel confusing. You may wonder why you're thinking about someone from your past, or why feelings you believed were gone suddenly feel so vivid. It may seem like you're moving backward, but what's actually happening is a process of emotional release. The parts of you that have stayed wounded are finally ready to be seen instead of hidden. Many people spend years covering emotional pain with distractions. They stay busy, jump into new relationships too quickly, or convince themselves they've fully healed simply because enough time has passed. Yet time alone doesn't heal every wound. Feelings that are ignored often stay quietly stored within the mind, shaping decisions without being noticed. They create invisible fears that whisper, "Don't trust too easily. Don't get too close," or "Protect yourself before someone leaves again." These hidden beliefs shape how people experience love, often causing them to expect disappointment before happiness has even had a chance to grow. As you move closer to emotional readiness, these old patterns become impossible to ignore. You start noticing how certain situations trigger stronger reactions than they should. A delayed message might spark unnecessary anxiety. Someone's kindness may feel hard to accept. Compliments may make you uneasy, because part of you still struggles to believe you deserve genuine affection. These reactions aren't signs that you're broken. They're signals pointing toward experiences that still need understanding and compassion. Instead of running from these emotions, you gradually build the courage to face them. You stop asking why painful memories have returned, and start asking what they've were trying to teach you. You recognize that every disappointment has shaped your understanding of yourself. Every heartbreak revealed something about your fears, your expectations, and your deepest emotional needs. Rather than blaming yourself or others, you begin looking at your past with greater honesty. This perspective creates room for forgiveness, not because the past was okay, but because carrying its weight forever keeps new experiences from unfolding freely. During this period, you may also notice shifts in your standards. Behaviors you once tolerated no longer feel acceptable. You become less willing to overlook disrespect, mixed signals, or emotional inconsistency. Instead of fearing that healthy boundaries will push people away, you understand that they protect your peace and draw in relationships built on mutual respect. This shift is a powerful sign of emotional growth because it reflects a stronger bond with your worth. The healing process is rarely dramatic. It often happens through small daily moments. You respond more calmly to situations that once overwhelmed you. You stop replaying old conversations in your head. You let go of the need to prove yourself to people who never truly understood you. Little by little, emotional burdens grow lighter, not because the past vanishes, but because it no longer controls your present. The lessons remain, but the pain loses its power. As those hidden wounds finally get the attention they've been waiting for, your heart becomes capable of welcoming love without projecting old fears onto someone new, allowing genuine connection to grow from trust instead of unresolved hurt. There are stretches in life when ordinary events start to feel strangely meaningful. You may notice patterns that seem too precise to write off as simple coincidence. A particular number keeps appearing throughout your day. A song with deeply personal lyrics starts playing at unexpected moments. You keep hearing the same message from different people who've never met each other. A place you never planned to visit somehow keeps showing up in conversations, dreams, or unplanned opportunities. These experiences naturally make you pause and wonder if life is quietly pointing your full attention towards something important. While each event may seem small on its own, together they create a sense that an invisible thread is connecting seemingly unrelated moments. These meaningful coincidences often show up when your awareness begins to shift. Instead of moving through life on autopilot, you become more present and observant. Your mind no longer rushes past every detail. You start noticing the small moments that once slipped by unnoticed. This heightened awareness lets everyday experiences carry greater emotional weight. What once looked random now feels connected, not because the outside world has suddenly changed, but because your inner perception has grown sharper and more receptive. Dreams also become more vivid during this period. You may wake up remembering conversations, unfamiliar faces, or places that feel strangely familiar. Some dreams leave behind emotions that linger throughout the day, even when you can't fully explain why. Others repeat similar themes, nudging you to reflect on parts of yourself that have gone unnoticed. Rather than offering literal predictions, these dreams often reveal your deepest emotional state, highlighting your hopes, fears, and growing readiness for meaningful connection. They become quiet invitations to understand yourself more deeply. Instead of hunting for simple answers, you may also find yourself experiencing unexpected encounters that seem impossible to plan. Someone brings up a book that holds exactly the insight you needed. A conversation with a stranger answers a question you'd been silently carrying. You unexpectedly reconnect with someone after years apart, only to find that the meeting shifts your perspective in ways you never anticipated. Even missed opportunities can reveal themselves as hidden blessings when viewed through a wider lens. These moments encourage you to trust that not everything valuable can be arranged through careful planning alone. As these experiences build up, your relationship with uncertainty begins to change. Instead of demanding instant explanations, you grow more comfortable letting life unfold naturally. You understand that not every meaningful event needs immediate interpretation. Some experiences reveal their purpose only after enough time has passed. This patience keeps you from becoming fixated on finding signs everywhere, while still staying open to moments that genuinely invite reflection. At the same time, it's important to stay grounded. A meaningful coincidence should spark awareness, not dictate your decisions. When every random event is treated as a supernatural message, fear and confusion can crowd out wisdom. True guidance doesn't create panic or pressure. It gently invites curiosity, reflection, and thoughtful action. The value of these moments lies less in predicting the future, and more in helping you pay closer attention to your present life. Gradually, these recurring patterns begin building a quieter confidence within you. You stop believing that every important moment must arrive with dramatic certainty. Instead, you learn that life often speaks through subtle experiences that awaken your own attention and deepen your understanding of yourself. By staying open without becoming consumed by interpretation, you build the ability to recognize meaningful opportunities with greater clarity, allowing genuine relationships to enter your life through awareness, authenticity, and a heart that is fully awake to the quiet invitations woven into everyday experience. One of the quietest, yet most powerful changes that can happen before a truly meaningful relationship enters your life is the realization that certain parts of your current life no longer feel right. Things that once sparked excitement start to feel empty. Conversations that used to hold your interest become draining. Habits you once defended no longer reflect the person you're becoming. This shift rarely happens because someone forces you to change. Instead, it starts from within, as if your inner world has quietly outgrown the version of life you've been living. At first, this transformation can feel uncomfortable. You may notice you no longer enjoy spending time with certain people, even though they've been part of your life for years. It's not because they've suddenly become bad people, but because your priorities have shifted. Conversations centered on gossip, negativity, constant complaints, or shallow distractions may leave you feeling emotionally drained rather than entertained. You begin craving honesty, meaningful discussion, and relationships built on mutual respect instead of convenience. This desire isn't a sign of becoming distant or judgmental. It reflects a growing awareness of what truly nourishes your emotional well-being. You may also find yourself questioning routines that once felt normal. Activities that were once automatic start to lose their appeal. Endless scrolling through social media, seeking validation from strangers, or constantly comparing your life to others starts feeling less satisfying. Instead of chasing temporary excitement, you become drawn to experiences that bring genuine fulfillment. Reading, learning, creating, spending time in nature, developing new skills, or simply enjoying quiet moments alone begin offering a sense of peace that outside distractions can't provide. Your attention slowly shifts from seeking stimulation to seeking meaning. This inner growth often shapes your goals as well. Dreams that once felt essential may no longer inspire you. You begin asking deeper questions about what success truly means. Instead of chasing achievements solely to impress others, you become more interested in building a life that reflects your authentic values. This change creates greater alignment between your actions and your inner beliefs. Decisions become less driven by social expectations and more guided by personal truth. As a result, you feel increasingly comfortable choosing a path that genuinely belongs to you, even if others fail to understand it. As these changes unfold, there may also be seasons of loneliness. When old relationships fade and new ones haven't yet formed, life can feel strangely quiet. This in-between space often feels uncertain because familiar comforts are disappearing, while the future remains unseen. Many people mistake this phase as a sign that something is wrong. In reality, it's often a period of transition. Growth requires letting go of what no longer fits before making room for what truly belongs. Clinging to outdated relationships, unhealthy habits, or environments that limit your growth only delays the life that's trying to emerge. During this process, your standards naturally grow healthier. You stop accepting situations that require you to shrink yourself just to keep others comfortable. You become less willing to overlook disrespect, emotional inconsistency, or relationships that leave you questioning your worth. This isn't about becoming demanding or unrealistic. It's about recognizing that genuine connection can't thrive where authenticity is constantly sacrificed. The more you honor your own values, the easier it becomes to recognize people who honor them too. By releasing what no longer reflects the person you're becoming, you create space for relationships, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with your truest self, allowing your life to gradually align with the deeper sense of purpose that has been quietly unfolding within you. There comes a point in personal growth when fear slowly loses its place as the loudest voice in your mind. It doesn't vanish completely because fear is a natural part of being human, but it no longer controls every decision you make. Instead, another voice starts to grow stronger. It's quieter, calmer, and often speaks without urgency. This is your intuition, the inner sense that helps you recognize what feels true, even when you can't explain it with logic alone. As you become emotionally healthier, this inner guidance becomes easier to hear, because it's no longer drowned out by anxiety, insecurity, or the desperate need for certainty. For a long time, fear may have shaped how you approached relationships. You may have avoided opening your heart because you expected rejection. You may have stayed in unhealthy situations because you feared being alone. You may have ignored warning signs because you were afraid of losing someone who gave you temporary comfort. Fear often disguises itself as protection, convincing you that avoiding risk is the safest choice. In reality, it frequently traps you in patterns that block genuine happiness. It pushes you to make decisions based on what might go wrong instead of what feels deeply right. As your emotional awareness grows, you start noticing the difference between fear and intuition. Fear usually speaks with urgency. It demands immediate action, floods your mind with endless what-if questions, and creates pressure to control every possible outcome. It focuses on imagined disasters, making even simple decisions feel overwhelming. Intuition, however, has a completely different quality. It doesn't shout or panic. It simply offers a quiet sense of knowing. Sometimes it encourages you to move forward despite uncertainty. Other times, it gently warns you that something isn't aligned with your values, even when everything looks perfect on the surface. Learning to tell the difference changes the way you interact with the world. Instead of reacting impulsively to every emotional trigger, you begin pausing before making important decisions. You observe your thoughts rather than immediately believing them. This pause creates space for wisdom to emerge. You ask yourself whether your reaction is coming from an old wound or from genuine understanding. This simple habit gradually reshapes your choices because you'd no longer letting the past dictate your present actions. Your intuition also grows stronger because you start trusting your own experiences instead of constantly seeking validation from others. You no longer need everyone to approve your decisions before you make them. Advice from trusted people still holds value, but it no longer replaces your own inner judgment. You recognize that no one else can fully understand your experiences, your values, or the quiet truths that only you can feel. This growing self-trust creates emotional stability because your confidence no longer depends entirely on outside opinions. This inner shift also changes how you recognize healthy relationships. Instead of being drawn only to excitement or intense emotional highs, we begin appreciating consistency, honesty, and emotional safety. You become less attracted to chaos disguised as passion, and more attracted to peace that lets trust grow naturally. Your choices become less about filling an emotional void and more about building a connection that supports mutual growth and respect. As this quiet confidence deepens, uncertainty no longer feels like an enemy that must be defeated. You understand that not every answer will arrive right away, and that meaningful relationships can't be forced into existence through overthinking or constant worry. Rather than letting fear decide who you become or whom you choose to trust, you move forward with greater clarity, guided by an inner voice that has grown stronger through self-awareness, patience, and the courage to honor what genuinely feels true. Perhaps the most overlooked sign that you're ready to meet a truly meaningful partner isn't an overwhelming desire to find someone, but a quiet sense of wholeness within yourself. This doesn't mean you no longer want love or companionship. It means your happiness is no longer entirely dependent on another person entering your life. Instead of believing someone else will finally make you feel worthy, accepted, or whole, you begin recognizing that these qualities must first grow from within. This shift changes everything because it turns love from a desperate search into a natural connection between two emotionally grounded individuals. For many people, the idea of love becomes closely tied to the hope of escaping loneliness or fixing emotional emptiness. They imagine that meeting the right person will erase their insecurities, heal every wound, and provide lasting happiness. While relationships can certainly bring joy, support, and growth, they can't permanently fill spaces that have never been tended to internally. When a person relies entirely on someone else for emotional stability, even small misunderstandings can create overwhelming fear. Every disagreement feels like abandonment, and every moment of distance feels like rejection. This emotional dependence places enormous pressure on both people and often weakens the relationship rather than strengthening it. As you continue growing, your relationship with yourself begins to change. You become kinder toward your own imperfections instead of constantly criticizing them. You stop comparing your journey to everyone else's timeline. You learn to celebrate your progress, even when it seems small. Moments spent alone no longer feel like proof that something is missing. Instead, they become opportunities to reflect, learn, create, and enjoy your own company. This comfort with solitude is one of the strongest foundations for a healthy relationship, because it allows love to grow from genuine appreciation rather than emotional necessity. You also begin finding joy in areas of life that have nothing to do with romance. Your work becomes more meaningful because it reflects your abilities and passions. Friendships become deeper because they're built on authenticity instead of distraction. Personal goals become exciting because they express your true interests rather than your desire to impress others. The more your life fills with purpose, the less pressure you place on a future relationship to become the center of your entire existence. Love becomes an important part of your life, rather than the only thing that gives it value. This inner wholeness also changes how you choose people. Instead of asking who can rescue you from loneliness, you begin asking who genuinely shares your values, respects your boundaries, and supports mutual growth. Physical attraction remains meaningful, but it's no longer enough on its own. Emotional maturity, honesty, kindness, consistency, and shared purpose become qualities you naturally recognize as essential. Because your self-worth is no longer fragile, you feel less tempted to ignore warning signs, simply to avoid being alone. You understand that peace on your own is healthier than attachment to someone who repeatedly damages your emotional well-being. As this transformation continues, you stop trying to become someone you think others will love. You become more honest about your opinions, your dreams, your strengths, and even your weaknesses. Authenticity replaces performance. You no longer feel the need to wear emotional masks or constantly seek approval to feel valuable. This sincerity allows the right people to know the real you, rather than a carefully constructed version designed to gain acceptance. By becoming emotionally whole within yourself, you create the conditions for a relationship built not on dependency or fear, but on mutual respect, shared growth, genuine affection, and two lives that complement each other, without asking either person to give up their true identity. As we reach the end of this journey, remember one simple truth. The greatest sign that meaningful love is approaching isn't found in the outside world. It begins with the transformation taking place within you, a quieter mind, healing emotional wounds, meaningful coincidences, letting go of what no longer serves you, trusting your inner wisdom over fear, and finally feeling whole on your own aren't random experiences. They're powerful signs that you're becoming the person who can recognize and receive a genuine connection. Real love is never just about finding the right person. It's also about becoming the right version of yourself. Every challenge you've faced, every lesson you've learned, and every step of personal growth has been preparing you for relationships built on trust, respect, authenticity, and emotional maturity. Instead of rushing the process or worrying about timing, keep investing in your own growth. The stronger your relationship with yourself becomes, the more naturally meaningful connections can enter your life. If this message resonated with you, take it as an invitation to keep moving forward, with hope rather than fear. Stay patient with your journey. Remain open to growth, and never underestimate the quiet changes happening inside you today. Sometimes the most important chapters of our lives begin long before we realize they'd already started. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me today. Your presence, your support, and your willingness to reflect deeply mean more than words can express. I truly hope this message brought you clarity, encouragement, and a renewed sense of confidence in your own path. I wish you peace in your heart, strength in your journey, wisdom in your decisions, and love that brings out the very best in who you are. May your future be filled with meaningful connections, beautiful opportunities, and moments that remind you just how valuable your story truly is. Good luck on your journey. Take care of yourself, and thank you for watching. Until next time, keep growing, keep believing, and never stop becoming the person you were always meant to be.